worked for about 6 months between January and June 2022. Because me, Jinyawa definitely likes exploring many things. I left Sapro again in January 2023. Returned to my parents' club, PwC Nigeria. Then, then recently joined KPMG Nigeria as an assistant manager in the audit line of service. So for me, the journey of 6, 7 years has been a roller coaster. It has been an exposure to so many things. It's been an opportunity to network, meet people. I think one of the biggest win for me through PwC, Deloitte, as well as KPMG Nigeria is the fact that I've been able to meet professionals. I've been exposed to the opportunity of meeting top company personnel. This is what the Big Four presents you. It gives you a lot of confidence. I hope that throughout this call, throughout this session, somebody will be motivated. So I hope that throughout this call, somebody will be motivated to want to join the Big Four. Um, so I'm here for all of your questions, everything you want to ask. Um, Throw them at me, and I'll be willing to answer. Thank you so much, Rayenda.
All right, thank you for having us. Please, everybody, kindly off your video and mute yourself. We are streaming on YouTube and it will affect the quality of our video. We want our guest speaker to be shown on the video when it's streaming, please. So we can, if you have any questions or anything, you can drop it on the chat box. But I'll be taking questions first from our community members because we already sent out notifications to everybody earlier for you to send your questions in. So I'll be taking the first question. So somebody asked, I'm trying to also admit somebody. Okay, yes. So can a graduate enter into any of the big four through volunteering? Let me copy it to the chat box too so everybody can see the question. So you can take the mic there.
All right. Of course, I remember when I was doing my undergraduate back in 2013. I was exposed to KPMG at that time. So volunteering is not one route to the Big Four. It hardly happens. Typically, your route to the Big Four would either be the graduate trainee, the experienced hire, as well as internships, which are usually on need basis. So volunteering currently is not a way for you to enter through to the Big Four. Okay, next question.
I'm working on that, sir. So the next question is, so in case if anybody has questions, you can drop it, we'll attend to it. So can an accounting graduate not chartered, please let's unmute ourselves. Let's mute ourselves, please. So can an Mr. Deniji, please mute yourself. Thank you. Can an accounting graduate not chartered work in any of the big four?
Yes, of course. So while we agree that the Big Four is an accounting firm and the importance of the professional certification is key, an accounting graduate who is not chartered can actually join the Big Four through any of the routes that I mentioned earlier. So what is most important is for you to have a first degree, and then you're eligible to get into the Big Four.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So also, can a 2-2 graduate who is chartered work in any of the big four?
Yeah, I mean, so several debates have come up about the potentials of tutus and how they should not be sidelined.
Yeah.
So far, there has not been any support yet. I mean, the policy still remains that it's only 2-1 and above that can be eligible to apply to join the Big Four. So for now, nothing has been said about the 2-2. Uh,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. So I'm trying to take one question. Okay, from the chat box so I don't miss it. How do one do NYC in one of the big four?
Yes, I mean, it's a great opportunity for you if you're able to come into the Big Four for your NYC year. However, contrary to usual practice, the Big Four don't issue referral letters to youth corpers.
Wow.
So what would actually happen is that you have to be posted directly from the NYSC to the Big Four. And when you then submit your letter of posting to the Big Four, usually what happens is that you are then shortlisted for an assessment. I know that PwC and KPMG actually do assessment before. If you then pass the assessment, you are then shortlisted and then given an acceptance letter. So typically, what you have to do is to be posted directly to the
Okay, from the camp.
from the camp.
Wow. Okay, so I'll be taking questions our group member drop. Thank you very much, sir, for that. At least most people can know now that if you don't get your letter from the camp commandant or the camp, you can't go into it from NYC. So somebody said, I know they consider age in recruitment. Do they consider marital status too?
I
If that
mean,
you are married like this.
Wala who come be married man. Oh.
As in is that the network?
Sorry, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay, yes, sir, yes,
In
sir.
that, so some people are not able to join. They have been denied access. Could you help me work on that?
Yeah, I'm working on that. I've been trying to add somebody in, but it's not just, I don't know why.
Okay.
I'll try to see if I can resolve it.
Okay. All right. So coming into the Big Four, marital status is not important. I mean, we want you to earn a living for the family, right? So we don't consider your marital status as being a limitation to that. However, some people actually even come to the Big Four and they find their better house,
Partner.
right? So I mean, the Big Four doesn't discriminate if you are married or not.
Okay. So, okay, I think that settles right. So you can get married though. Big Four is not stopping you from getting married, basically. Then
Exactly.
also, somebody made one funny comment. So the person was asking that, how do I become a partner in my first year? I'm sure that's it. The person already knows the answer to that question.
I mean, I mean, your first year, right? You're definitely coming in as an audit associate or an advisory associate, and you definitely want to walk up through the ladder. So, I mean, it's a good that someone already has the ambition to become a
Partner.
partner. There's nothing that is not possible, but being a partner on the first day is not possible. Okay,
Yes.
so I mean, you just have to walk your way through the ladder of the various Big Fours. Everybody, each of the Big Fours with their promotion um, levels. So just for you to put in the performance as well as the business case.
All right. So, sir, can you like run us through, like from start to finish, the career journey somebody will have to take to start and okay, or can you just run us through the process, like from the bottom to the top, when we are looking at the line of authority or your level of, like, we always hear experienced associates, we always hear entry level. So, like, what's the start to finish for the big four? Like somebody aiming to work at the big four.
Yes, I mean, so that question, I mean, I had to just because of recent, some of the Big Fours have reviewed their nomenclature, right? I know
Okay,
some
sir.
people used to say there was something like an audit semi-senior. Now they call
Yeah.
it an associate. So typically, what happens is that if you come in through the graduate trainee route, um, the graduate trainee is usually someone who has 0 to 1 year work experience, right? I mean, you might
Okay.
not have the relevant experience to accounting or to advisory. So typically, you would be coming in as an associate one. That's for PwC. Also an associate one. So the nomenclature differs across the firms. So for PwC, we have associate. For KPMG, we have analyst, right?
Okay.
So take for example now, you're going through from associate one to associate two to senior. In some big fours, you are actually going to go to semi-senior, right? So when you go from associate one, you go to associate two, then you go to senior associate one, senior associate two, then you go to manager, then senior manager, associate director, and then partner. This looks like an easy step, but there are usually a number of years that probably you have to spend. And then if your village people are happy with you, you might just be fortunate that they need they need someone at the next level, even though you just spent a year. Because typically you should spend at least 2 years from senior level upwards. For associate level up onto senior is typically every financial year you are always moving to the next level. But when you get to the senior level, it becomes tighter. The competition is much more robust at that level, and so you then have to spend at least some 2 years before you move to the next level. I mean, typically,
Okay.
Big Four does not. It's not a typical government organization where you have politics around your promotion. You perform, you are rewarded.
Nice.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Somebody is saying that, is there no hope for Tutu to enter any of the big four? I think he has already answered that question. Maybe you are just joining. Then let me move to the next question. So somebody is asking that, I don't know why this thing is taking time. Okay, yes. So somebody is asking that, is there a maximum age limit for the big fours? I think they increased this recently, but I'm not too sure. So, sir, what's the maximum age limit for the big four?
I mean, I'm not here to blow the trumpet of any of the big fours because I mean I've gone through all of the big fours. I mean out of the four of the big fours, and what I can say is that PwC has no age limit. Recently,
Really? Wow.
they removed the age limit for graduate trainee. So typically it was 26 years of age before, but now the age limit for graduate trainee is 30 years.
Thank you, sir. That's a good one. Thank you so much, sir. So
Yeah.
actually, this question in particular, because I have somebody that actually, I have like two people that did with KPMG. I don't. I think KPMG does not. I don't want to generalize, but let me just read the question. Like, so my question for the speaker is, why do Big Four have contract staff? Then how can one use that to an advantage when switching to another big four? Also, I also want to add one more question, like, why is it that when they bring graduate trainees in, or let me say like for NYC, they don't end up converting that person to full staff? Like, what would be the problem? Like, because I know two people that actually went through the NYC procedure there, and they were not confirmed later at the end of their service year, and it was very, very demoralizing for them. So what could have been the issue? So I asked two questions. I mixed two
Yes.
questions in one.
Yes, of course. I think that when I saw this question earlier around why do we have contract staffs in the big four, I
Yes, sir.
mean it's just like we would have contract staff in any other industry. We want people that should serve or come to help us out in a particular project. We have people that we want to use for a particular period. I mean, like in the audit field, we have the busy season usually around January to May. So why do we have contract staff in the Big Four? We have them for project on project needs. So if I need someone at this particular level of experience for this project I'm executing, I would
Okay.
rather take a contract staff, right? Um, then what is the impact of the contract staff with trying to get into another Big Four? I
Yeah.
mean, for me, the relevance of the Big Four on your CV, whatever position you have taken, be it a contract or full-time staff, can never be undermined. So I think what is most important is how much you sell yourself as a candidate at an interview. Um, this would then I mean, if you sell yourself very well to me, I would even have to ask myself the question, and you are really a contract staff? I mean, because your response will seem like, oh, you are a full staff. I mean, contract staff, full-time staff, it's just the terms of employment that really differs. I don't think that the level of experience or exposure is actually different. Um, so someone says that why is NYC not converted to full-time staff? So I would share a personal experience, right, with an NYC intern. Typically, one would say that someone that has gone through the system is a better fit than somebody who you have to train newly. Um, for me, what I would like to give to us is the fact that when you are doing your internship, one of the most important things is to be diligent to your work, diligent to your responsibilities, whatever is assigned to you. However, most of the time, we find out that interns actually want to enjoy their service here. I mean, I enjoyed my service here. I was a teacher in a public school. Yeah, I went to school only on Tuesdays, right? And I spent the rest of the NYC year flexing. But when you come into the Big Four, there's every possibility that you might have to work like an actual staff, even though you're an intern. So what happens is that most times you probably don't work up to the required, or maybe where the partner feels that okay, he wants to retain you, right? There's also the part where you are working with the mindset that you want to be retained. There's also the business case wherein one is the unit you are needs a staff. For example, one of my interns interned in the external audit division. When he finished NYC, he wasn't confirmed in the external audit line of service. However, for the internal audit, they needed contract staffs, and he was offered a 3 months contract. Right? So business case is always something that we should consider. And
Mm.
at the top of it all, I believe that relationship you build with those. I mean, relationship doesn't mean politics, right? I'm not trying to say that there's politics in the Big Four. However, when you work with someone and someone is able to trust you with responsibilities, then the person is able to vouch for you that even if this business does not need an additional hand, this person is someone that we must retain. So why is the person not retained? Business case and the person's experience during the end. So that's my
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, sir, I have a question that I think most people have been asking. They've been
okay.
asking that is it only through audit and tax, like for experience hire? Okay, let me first ask number one, how do experience hire enter? And how do experience hires, is it only audit and tax you take? Like, let me use myself as an example. I have only accounting experience. I've never really worked in an audit firm, like do major audit engagements. So if I don't have audit or tax experience, so I cannot, can I still apply to Big Four as an experienced hire, basically?
Yes, of course, you can. The most important thing for you to apply through the experience hire route is having relevant accounting and consulting experience. Um, Experience hires are taken all year round throughout the audit tax advisory division, even at the So we also have a division in the Big
Big
Four
Four
that
as
like the admin
an
facilities
experienced hire,
division.
basically.
These are like the cost centers in the Big Four. Yes, of course. Usually they are
You
the
can.
HR, the
The most
finance,
important thing for you
compensation and
to apply
benefits,
through the experience hire route
facilities,
is having
admin,
relevant
people in
accounting
terms of consulting,
consulting,
but
but
also
also
like
like
the
the
client and market
experience hires are
tech
taking
development section. So these
audit,
people are
auditors,
usually more
admin,
involved in like maintaining
maintaining
the
the
brand
brand
called
called
for
for
the
the
Big
Big
Four.
Four.
So
So
they
they
will
will
also
also
get
get
people
people
through
through
the
the
experience
experience
hire
hire
route.
route.
What is
What is
most
most
important
important
is
is
that
that
you
you
need
need
at
at
least,
least,
if
if
you
you
are
are
coming
coming
from
from
a
um,
similar
similar
Big
Big
Four,
Four,
I mean, or even if you are coming from the other audit firms like Tedabo, Mazars,
Mazars.
yes, you would need at least 2 years relevant experience. I mean, so this way, your number of years of experience you have in the other Big Fours would determine what position you can bargain for. Because I remember when I was doing my placement for KPMG Nigeria, I mean, I was bargaining for a manager level, and but I mean, I had not attained the number of years, even though I was coming from the other Big Four. I have not attained the number of years required because to become a manager in KPMG Nigeria, you must have at least done about 7 years in the other Big Four. So for me, what is most important is the fact that you must have spent at least 2 years in the Big Four and 3 years and above in other industries. So, as long as you are convinced that you have the relevant experience required for the job advert that has been placed, you can apply. It doesn't have to be audit and tax only.
Okay, I think that has answered a lot of questions because I just went through our chat box now and I saw some questions that were relating to that. Somebody also asked, I know you may not want to give full details, but somebody is asking that which of the big four pays the most for the role of graduate trainee?
I mean, so during my time when I was to join Sapro USA, I mean, I know that I went around like most of Sapro employees then to ask how much was the salary so that probably I wasn't short valued when I was negotiating with the HR. One thing that came to prominence was the fact that um, issues of salary is actually a legal matter and it's strictly confidential.
Yeah.
So my advice to you would be that why don't you go through the whole recruitment process and then you can find out. I mean, after all, you can apply to all of the big fours and get the job, the offer letter, and then you can
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
yeah.
So, somebody is asking that, okay, is the big four for only the chartered accountants? How about a graduate who is just starting ICANN?
Okay. So for for the big four, what is most important is to have a first degree in whatever field. We are going to train you. I mean, well, someone will say that, oh, I have a first degree in economics, and so this is similar to accounting. But economics is not accounting. Accounting is a different world. All right. So, what you need to enter into the big four is to have a first degree in any field and have a second class offer in any field. I know someone is going to ask me that I've been saying first degree. What about HND? Um, to the most recent of my knowledge, I have not heard any big four take the HND people. However, in PwC, there's a separate arrangement with Yaba Tech where they have people come to do their 1 year, maybe this internship that they have after their HND. So I don't think that's still a route for people to enter into the big four fully because they're also interns at that time. So you
Okay.
need your first degree in any field and it's second class offer. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. So somebody is also asking that can someone who did not study accounting get into the big four? Okay, I think I know of a friend that studied either microbiology or biochemistry or something. Then the person is in big four right now. So what would you have to say to
I
that?
mean, to get into the big four, I say it again, all you need is a first degree. And my friend is today she's chartered. So what's most important is to have a first degree in any field.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. So somebody is asking that I think he has already mentioned this. Like, what are the requirements to enter with the experience associate route? He has already talked about that, so let's not draw our speaker back. Then somebody is also asking, I think, what about MSc or MBA, first degree 2 plus ICANN? Can you still get in? Like with MSc or MBA, then the person has ICANN, but he has a first degree 2 lower, that's the second class lower. Can he also enter into the bid for with his MSc and MBA plus that 2? Then the person also has ICANN.
Yes. So I mean, that's a rather dicey situation. So my, I know that um, it depends on what route you want to come in through. But if it's for the graduate training,
Yeah.
it's a no,
Okay.
right? I have friends that have tried to join the big four. I mean, they've taken the exams, for example, for a PwC for over 2, 3 years. And I tell my friends that if you if you are applying to the big four for 3, 4 years, something must have changed in you, right? You shouldn't for a graduate training role.
Somebody is not muted. Sorry, sir.
All right.
Sorry about the break. Somebody is not muted. I'm trying to find the person and mute. Please, can we all mute ourselves and not cause each with? Okay, I've found the person. All right, you can
Okay,
proceed, sir.
so for for the entry level, the answer is no. However, like I tell people, it's not like it's. I mean, it's just a knowledge that I believe we should make use of. If you are not able to enter the associate level, you should be able to enter the experience higher level. I give myself as an example. I didn't get into KPMG at the associate level in 2018, but today I entered KPMG at the experience associate level, right? So if you are having all of those degrees, I also believe that you should have work experience alongside so that you're able to experience higher. And I think you stand a chance with experience higher and those your degrees.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, sir. Because I keep seeing like the same question. I don't know if you want to go back. So people, like three people have been asking now, like, what's the recruitment process for experienced associates or experienced hire at the big four? Though you've already mentioned it, I think people just want a more practical perspective to it. Like, for instance, you can just give like a case study on how people can go through that.
Okay. So typically, unlike the associate level or entry level where you have a defined period where recruitment is usually advertised, the experience IRO usually comes up all through the year on a need by need basis. I mean, we have the recent gap pass wahala that is going around, and so there are roles that need to be filled up. So one thing you have to make your friend is the career pages of these big fours, as well as the LinkedIn pages of these big fours. And also, I know we are in a world where everybody is connected. People usually would advertise or post an opportunity on LinkedIn. You would usually see probably a mail where you should send a CV to that there's an opening, right? So I think that what is most important is to ensure that you are always in search for any job opportunity that opens up. So for me, through my experience, what I would usually do is to, I mean, send cold mail to probably the head of HR of the big four. And a cold mail is a mail where you are sending in your CV requesting for a position for an experienced data role, even though there are no adverts at that time. Typically, what the big fours do is that they have like a bank of CVs. Here, all the CVs that have come through would be put together. And say, for example, now, I mean, there was a time in one of the big fours where everyone on a particular role resigned, like at the same time.
Wow.
So you can imagine that at that point they will need to fill up those positions. And so if I have your CV already in my CV bank, I would then readily access your CV your experience. So sometimes for the experience IR roles, you you find out that there's probably no like timeline for when the recruitment will be completed. I know that I sent my CV one time. I think even my current job now, I sent my CV since April 2022.
Wow.
I only got a feedback in January. And of course, there was no business case need for the job at that time, right? So over time, when the opportunities open up, we are then the CVs are then pulled out and then they shortlist candidates for the role. And then typically you will have your recruitment process, meeting, interview with the manager first or the senior manager, and then interview with the partner, and then you get your offer of employment, the terms of employment. Then thereafter, you can then agree and negotiate what you want, what level you want, what salary expectations you have. Then you are given an offer letter.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, sir.
Yeah.
So, thank you all for joining us so far on the call. If you have more questions, you can just signify by putting your questions in the chat box. We won't be taking audio questions because we are streaming, and if we allow people to unmute themselves, it might become rowdy. But I think I can just ask Mr. Denji. You can reply on the chat box basically. Mr. Denji, you've been raising up your hand since. I don't know if your question has been answered because I saw that I read your question from the chat box. So I don't know if you still have any more question for our speaker. Then I also saw one particular question, but I'll just okay. Is anyone coming in as graduate trainee? Do they get paid? I think that is a question that, well, you can help us answer that, Mr. MJ.
All right. So if you're coming in as a graduate trainee, I mean that's like a full-time employment, right? So you are going to get paid. You have an offer letter, so you have your salary. You are going to get paid.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So Mr. Rashid is asking too. I guess this question has been answered. I just don't want us to be repeating the same questions. So he's saying what channel can, I hope your question has been answered, Mr. Rashid. You can just type in the chat box. He's saying what channel can one who obviously who is obviously above the age regulation do to enter the big four. Let's assume he's ACA qualified. He has already explained that earlier, that you go through the experience IR. You ensure that with your ACA you also have relevant experience. So my major question now for Mr. MJ is that what's the major skill that these big fours are looking for? Like we know like now is people that are skilled that the labor market is looking for. So in your career journey with the big four over time, can you like help us list like 5 major skill set that you think these people are looking for, either hard skills or soft skills, so that people can be on the lookout, like, or they can start preparing themselves on these skills that the big fours are really looking for, like what skills are hot in demand for the big fours from that they are requiring from applicants currently, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So I mean, for me, from my experience so far, I think that across varying levels, For example, for your graduate associate level, typically at that point you don't have relevant work experience, right? And so we want to be able to see the fact that you have at least some level of leadership skills. I mean, even if you are the group leader or you are a team member in your class project, it's also a team. Uh, you've been part of a team that way. I remember I remember my interview with PwC in 2018. Um, One of the things for me was, I mean, that time where I think Nairaland was really popular at that time. I don't know if it's still popular now, where if you are going for an interview,
You go and post it there.
people are posting there and then people are giving you their experience to say, okay, uh, try to make sure you are the one that leads the group presentation. Try to make sure that you are communicating or you talk. Yeah, so I mean, the most important thing in the Big Four so far from my various interview experiences is the fact that you must be, number one, most importantly, you must be a team player.
Go on.
Uh,
Go on.
you must have been with a team, you must have been able to work with a team. And like I say, a team need not be work team. You can also be a member of a team at church, you can be a member of a team at a social club. What's most important is the fact that we need to know how much of team spirit you have, how much of a team player that you are. You also have to be able to show your leadership potential. I mean, typically you have questions that so when you go for an interview, you are asked to use the STAR approach to answer behavioral questions, which is the situation, the task, the action, and then the results, right? And then people sometimes cram situations that did not exist, right? And so when you are asked follow-up questions, you stumble. I think one of the most important thing for the Big Four is the fact that even if you don't have relevant experience as a leader or in leadership position, we would like to see how much um, potentials you have if you are given an opportunity to be in a leadership position. I think that's point number two. Um, you, for me, the other point would then also be that you have to be able to show independence. What we expect in the Big Four is that we are recruiting the best and the brightest, and for you to be called the best and the brightest, you must. I mean, every day at work. I remember my first year at work with PwC. I felt yes, of course, I scaled through the interview. I was given an offer. Well, I'm the best. But sometimes when you go to work every day and you interact with your colleagues, you probably hear somebody telling you was the best graduating in his school, he's an icon prize winner, or something, right? So you need to build the confidence in yourself, regardless of what competition you have amongst your peers and those above you. You must be confident in your ability. You must be sure that you can be independent, you can stand on your own in situations that come up during the work environment. Um, the most important point would really be the fact that you must be uh, sound technically. I mean, you must be smart. They say you must be able to work smart, you must be efficient. When I say you must be sound, you have to be efficient. There are a million ways to go to the market. There are a million ways to go to Yaba. You can decide to go through road or fly or be a witch. What's most important is the fact that you must be sound in whatever decision you want to make or whatever decision, what work you are providing. Because I mean, some people said that, oh, it's my first year, I won't be put in decision making positions. Times have changed. I mean, when I look at the associates we have now compared to when I was an associate, there is nobody to provide coaching per se because of the brain drain that's occurring in the country. So you must prove to your interviewer, and subsequently to your employer or your manager on your jobs that you are technically sound. Technical competence is very much important. And I think the most and the last point for me is to say that relationship is key. I know we have a lot of people who say they are introverts. This is not to say that introverts don't stand a chance in the big four, but sometimes you would need to speak up because the big four promotes for you to speak up. You can't be given a task, and because you're a shy person, you are not going to speak up. That would count negatively against you because it's important for you to always leverage on the network in wherever you are. For example, now, if you come in as an experienced hire into one of the big fours, I wouldn't expect you to. I mean, we are used to having. So, for example, we meet people during induction or during onboarding. We are used to being friends with that group of persons that we met during the training session. To survive in the big four, you need to build relationships. You have to leverage your network of people that have been in the firm already. This is the only way you can actually survive through the transitioning period for yourself. So I believe that these are 5 points what should be working age for anybody that seeks to join the big four.
Wow, thank you so much. So I hope everybody are noting points down. Like, yes, thank you. So Mrs. Deborah also said something because she works with PwC. So she's saying that on skills required, please look out for values of this firm and see how these apply to you as a person. These are the skills needed too as well. So you look out for their values, check what these companies want, like then you ensure that you're aligning yourself to those values so that when you come for the interview it's easy. So I want to quickly answer two questions here. I feel is an HR question and it's not from Mr. MJ. So somebody is asking that I am an experienced I am currently at partner interview stage with one of the big fours, and I think they've moved on with others because it's over a month. Is there tenure for me? Others have gotten medical mails. Do you think they'll still revisit my profile? Mr. MJ said something that he applied for this role he is currently. He did it in April 2022. Probably they picked the people they want for the business case they have in question, then they've moved on, and maybe they can pick you later. I think these questions that people always ask is something you can just send a mail to the HR, or you actually had a conversation with the HR during the interview process. You can just ask, wasn't I picked? It's a follow-up question. It's not something, how will Mr. MJ know that you're not picked? You don't know how you perform at the interview. So it's your own question. Like, you had a relationship with the HR, she was sending you mails, you were calling for feedback and everything. Why not call the HR and ask that, okay, what's this? I don't think this is a question for our speaker. And I hope you can just send a mail to the HR with regards to that. I think I saw another question too relating to that. Like, somebody also said, okay, after passing the graduate training exam, I haven't been called for the next step of the interview. Does it take over a year, or there's something wrong with my application? I got a message monthly that they will get back to me, but it's already 9 months. Why not send a follow-up mail to the HR and ask? Then if the HR now goes to you or something, you know there's an issue. All these HRs of KPMG, you can reach out to them on LinkedIn. So what I do is, when you send me a mail and I check your name on the end of the mail, like when you send the mail, I will go and check you out on LinkedIn. Then I can send a message to you on LinkedIn if you will not reply, and let me follow up and all like that. So I don't think these questions are for this, right? So one particular question caught my attention for Mr. MJ. She says, is a graduate training restricted to only a unit, or is there exposure to other units slash departments before a person is then permanently assigned to a unit? I think I like that question. That's a good one.
Okay. Um. So I mean, I will share experiences from my from the firms I've worked with. I know that before now with PwC, there used to be the rotation around the various audit line of service, audit units. In audit, we have energy, and utilities mining. We have financial services, and we have the consumer market, as well as the risk assurance. Um, so prior to when I joined in 2018, we I mean, I heard that they used to rotate people across the various units. However, the advisory arm actually rotates people around these advisory people and organization, strategy consulting, finance and accounting. So typically, when you are recruited in at your graduate training level, you are recruited into a unit, and that is expectedly the unit you should be till you decide to leave the firm. However, some people have been fortunate to work on getting a reallocation. So this is not possible. It's all subject to discussions with your managers in your unit.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So, somebody else is asking that since it's difficult to get into the Big Four with Tutu, that what are some of the companies that you can work for to go and gain all these experiences before you can now apply as an experienced hire? So I'm seeing two questions here. That means, can somebody with Tutu apply as an experienced hire? Then what companies can that same person go and gather experience from to be able to work with the Big Four? That's if the Big Four will take Tutu experienced hire.
Haha. So that question is political. I mean, it's I'm not going to I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not a brand ambassador for any other firm. But like I said, I think typically more recently is the fact that audit firms will actually take 2-1 candidates. I know that then I tell my younger friends to ensure that they finish with 2-1 because if you are not joining the big four as a 2-1 person, the other option would then be bank jobs. Um, and even if you were to work in the bank and you wanted to join the big four, you have to be working in the relevant unit in the bank. For example, maybe you're working in audit division of the bank, or maybe you're working in financial in reporting unit of the bank. So I won't say this is the company that accepts Tutu because that's a research I believe that we should carry out on our own. And I mean, I'm always available for any coaching when you want to interview. However, I can't say this is the company you apply to. But after you get your experience from these big fours, usually at least from these other firms, usually at least 3 to 4 years, then you are able to apply to the big four. Yes, thanks.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Somebody else is asking. I hope we've gotten value so far. Please give me reactions in the chat box. Send your reactions in. I hope you've gotten value for your time so far. Please send me clap for us now because I don't understand. I'm not seeing the reaction. Okay, so somebody is asking, like most of these questions are basically repetition. So we are recording currently live on YouTube. We'll be dropping the YouTube link across all our groups. Then I'll also drop Mr. MJ's LinkedIn profile. So if you have more questions, you can just chat him up on LinkedIn, connect with him, chat him up. I'm sure he'll always be available for our questions and some mentoring, coaching, and all. Because most of these questions I see are repeated. Please, before you ask him questions that he has already answered here, please watch the recording of our today's what's it called, webinar before you go and start asking him questions he has already answered here. You know he's very busy. Even we getting him on this call is a miracle. But we thank you, sir, for yielding to our call. We thank you for having you. I said we thank you for having you. We appreciate you for joining us. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay.
Yes, and we know that you can be very busy. Kindly find that out. Somebody is sorry. Okay, I've muted the person. So I'm trying to get MJ's what's it called? I'm trying to get to get his LinkedIn profile. So do you have any? I also want Miss Deborah to talk like after MJ is done, because she also works with PwC. If she has any closing remarks to for us, like what she thinks we can do better. But I don't know if MJ has any concluding remarks for us, like any advice for us as finance professionals in this century. Like we know AI is disrupting things, data analytics, cloud computing, and the like. So I don't know if you have concluding remarks for us on the future of our career as finance professionals.
Yes, thank you so much, accounting job all. Thank you, Oinda. I see
Okay, sir.
some questions in this chat box.
Okay,
Someone is
sir.
asking, how can one get a contract job in the Big Four?
Yeah, I omitted that. So sorry. Thank you for noticing that.
Okay,
Yes, yes. I think there are two I even wanted you to address. That contract, then there was one immediately after the contract, the one of the IT person, the one that was asking that is an experienced budget analyst too. But first answer this one, sir. I'll read that one next.
okay. To get a contract job in the Big Four, I mean, I think um, I usually tell people that we don't really make use of LinkedIn a lot as we should.
Mm,
Um, when you are looking for a contract job, what's the most important thing is to reach out to uh, the HR of those companies.
yes.
The truth is, I have, I mean, I go through career pages of the Big Four a lot. I hardly see contract jobs being advertised. I mean, recently a contract job opened at KPMG, right? But it wasn't on the career page. It was something that was more like requiring referrals. So most times, you need the power of your LinkedIn to get what you need. All of my
Mm,
job opportunities really have come from LinkedIn in the last 1 year, about 10 of them, right? And so when anybody asks me any question, I always say, have you optimized your LinkedIn page? I mean, sometimes you see that, oh, you appeared in searches, and what are the searches that people are looking out for? Maybe auditor,
mm,
maybe accountant, right? So one of the most important thing is the fact that if you are looking for a job, try to send a cold mail to the HR of various companies. I
mm.
think I think now these firms need staff, and so whatever you are looking for, if you send them a cold mail, they will actually send you a response. I know one of my friends sent a cold mail to one of the directors in PwC this last week, and he got a feedback that, oh, currently we are not recruiting, but your profile will be in the pool, and when we need, we'll get across. So what you can always do, just like the person who asked earlier about whether he has been forgotten, you need
Yeah.
to always send follow-up.
Yes. No.
You need to always send out follow-up mails. And let me tell you the truth, HRs are dealing with a lot of candidate profiles.
Mm,
It's not like, I mean, as much as you think, oh, you are indispensable because of your performance at the interview, somebody else too is that way. So you need to always follow up and ensure that they that you get a feedback. So how to get a contract job? I mean, just send a mail to the HR. It's not usually advertised per se.
yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I think to add to that, when you keep, it's not as if you're harassing the HRs basically. It's just to keep you at top of mind. So imagine if Mr. MJ was I think recently was recruiting for a tax role at his company. Then imagine if maybe 1 week I sent him a message, sir, don't forget me. I've already created relationship with him. Oh, it's not as if I'm just barging into his DM. Hi, Mr. MJ, I love your profile. I love what you are doing. If you have any openings, I'm open. You also tell him the value you create. So you're not coming to become a burden to him in his team, basically. So the next week too, I love this post. Maybe put a post out, then you can come and tell him that I love this post. I love, like, or maybe even put out a certification. So you don't need to go on the basis that you are bombarding them with messages of what you want. You too, you can appreciate them. Everybody wants to be loved. They want to feel that you care about them, not just for what you want to get from them, basically. then once you start reaching out, it will be at the top of your mind. So when the next opening comes, him as the HR will just reach out to you that I have this opening, can you fit in and all. So you just need to be more strategic with the use of LinkedIn, because I notice most of the people just use LinkedIn to bad into people's DM. I'm looking for a job. No, that's not the way it works. You must prove yourself to be a person of value. That sir, I'm skilled in this, I can do this, I'm a team player. Like, sell yourself. Don't just go and be begging for a job and be doing as if you need a favor from somebody. Just show that you're a person of value, and if you are joining their team, they are not coming in as a burden, basically. So somebody, that's just an addition to trying to apply. Somebody asked too that is a budget analyst, that does he have a shot at the big four, and he has over 5 years experience as a budget analyst.
Okay. So, um, as long as you're in accounting and finance, you have an opportunity to join into the big four. The question would then be, what units do you fit in best?
And so
Right. So, a budget analyst, I want to believe, will be somebody that will join the finance and accounting division of advisory. Right. So, if you want to join the big four, what you should be doing now is, I mean, go to LinkedIn, check people who are in advisory of these various big fours, shoot your CV to them, like
then,
in that said, tell them these are your experiences and these are the skills you possess and your achievements in your 5 years career. So I think that you stand a very good shot in the advisory division of the Big Four.
yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So somebody is asking that, can someone with 5 years work experience in other line different from accounting apply for graduate training job in Big Four? I think I want Mr. MD to respond to it, because most times I always see people make, I won't say it's a career mistake, like you have over 5 years, 6 years experience, and you now go and start again as a graduate training. Would you advise that for somebody?
Uh, I will tell you not to make such a mistake. It's a career disaster. Um, so, like I said, I know that there are people on this call who probably have applied several years to the Big Four. What I would say is that once you have applied more than 2, 3 years,
Hmm.
start seeking for experienced positions.
Yeah.
So please don't do 5 years outside and then go back to a graduate trainee role, regardless. I mean, and that's not to say that even if you have a skill outside of accounting, you can't still get an experienced IR role.
Hmm.
So just ensure that you upskill yourself and try to aim for experienced IR. Please don't go back to graduate trainee role.
Thank you so much, sir. Because this also answers the question that somebody else is asking, that can an experienced accountant in FCMG cross to the Big Four? Mr. MG has already responded to that question at the beginning, so we are not dragging our speaker back. So I'm still trying to go through the current one. Okay, yes, I think I like this one. So this will be our last question for the night. Somebody is asking that, what's the procedure to switch from one unit to another unit one prefers in the Big Four?
Well, I like these questions because they all speak to me. I mean, my assistant manager today in the audit line. I know there was a time I wanted to switch to consulting. There was also another time I wanted to switch to HR.
Yeah.
But those opportunities did not materialize because of knowledge gap, right? So if you want to switch so in the Big Four, we have what we call client facing and non-client facing. We have what we call revenue generating units and cost centers. So like I mentioned earlier, the cost centers are those people who are like finance, HR. There's in-house HR. There's also HR consulting, right? So in-house HR are the ones that do HR roles for the staffs of the Big Four, while the HR consulting people are those who help who provide HR advices to clients. So, for example, now you might want to switch between client facing and
No.
non-client facing. Typically, I want to advise for you to move from client facing to non-client facing because I mean, client facing, there's the bias, just like we have everywhere. They earn more than non-client facing, right? So, if you want to switch maybe from one client facing to another client facing, what would usually be expected is that you have relevant experience, right? So, take for example, now you are a graduate of economics and then you got into the big four through the audit line of service, and you feel that okay, you are more inclined to finance and you want to move to finance. First of all, is you can't be a graduate of biology education and say you want to move to finance. So, what is your propellant? What is moving you? So, in my own case, then when I wanted to move to strategic consulting, they asked me questions around, do I have a master's in economics, a master's in finance? Yes, I have it, right? Um, have you done any data analysis research of recent? So I mean, they will still ask for relevant experience when you want to cross from one unit to the other. Now there are two parties to the transaction: the releasing unit, which is your current unit that you are in, and the receiving unit,
Mm.
right? So the releasing unit, I can't be short-staffed in my division, and you tell me you want to go to another division, because at the end of the day, you need to get certain levels of approvals from people of authority in your division. So if they are not willing to release you, even if the receiving unit is willing to receive you, you have not been released, so you cannot make them. Also, even if your unit decides to release you, and on the other side, the receiving unit does not need staff at your level,
Mm.
then you won't be accepted. So at the end of the day, what usually happens is that the move between units is usually based on the business needs and approvals at various levels. It's an easy process if everybody wants to release you, everybody wants to accept you. It's an easy process. So, but you must also have created what I mentioned as my fifth point earlier: relationship, right? Because you don't want someone to feel like, oh, okay, I'll approve you to go. After all, you are a bad staff for my division, so I'll push you. You want to be somebody that they are pleading with, not to leave our division to another division. So in everything, try to always be indispensable.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a good one. Thank you, sir. So that's the last question for tonight. Please let's appreciate Andre in the comment section. I'll still ask us to unmute ourselves, but not now. I would like Miss Deborah to also please show him love in the chat box, send him, appreciate him. I've shared his LinkedIn profile. You can also appreciate him there. From there too, you can also connect with him. Send him a DM. He's not mad at it. Say, appreciate him. Just tell him how much you really enjoyed this session this evening. So I don't know if Miss Deborah is in a place where she can just talk. If it's just 5 minutes advice to like want to hear another perspective. She's also working with the Big Four. So I don't know if you are currently available, ma'am. Let me check.
Hi, Oyinda.
Good afternoon, ma.
Hi, everyone. What? Sorry, trying to see myself. Okay, so, well, it's good to be here this evening already. You know, I'm a member of the community, but basically, I came to support my guy. um, Ita is my guy, one of the best gifts I got from PwC. Right now, I think we are like closest
Oh,
friends. So
Yeah,
that's
right.
why I came up this evening. Yeah. And I know he has delivered value. Like everything is spot on and he's cool while saying it. And I really am not sure there's anything I want to add. Like in this topic, I think he's delivered and he has more experience than me in terms of searching. We've been doing this looking for a way to settle permanently for a while now together. Oyinda, you knew when I was moving, right? So
yes, yes, I'm aware. Yes, yes,
so
ma.
we're doing all of that together, and that's when he left for Sapro as well. And then he's back to Nigeria, and he has all the experience and has totally delivered everything. So the only thing I would like to add to everyone on the call is basically to say that your dreams are valid. Let me do Perspire. He didn't do the Perspire aspect. So
What I would
I
like to
feel like
give
your
to
dreams
us
are
is the
valid.
fact
So if
that
you're really interested in going into the big four, you have to do the homework yourself.
Paul is
You can't
you
get
can't
all
be a
the
graduate of
information
biology
from a
education
call.
and say you want to
So with
move
the
to
basics that's been given to you on a call, run with
so
it.
what is your
The
propeller?
relationships are
What is
very
moving you? So in
helpful. So you have someone who will
my
ask
own
those questions while you're running with
case,
it.
then when I wanted to move to strategic consulting,
What
they
else
asked
would
me
I
questions
say?
around do I
So
have
your
masters in
experience is
economics or
valid. I've
masters in
heard
finance?
questions about
Yes, I have
where, what
this,
firm can
right?
you be so you can get your experience
Have
higher. And
you
I joined
done
PwC
any
as an
like any
experience hire, but
data
my experience was with a
analysis research
logistics
of
firm,
recent?
right?
So, I
So it
mean,
had nothing
they
to
will
do
still
with
ask for
banks or
relevant
any sort, but
experience
I
when
was
you
in the
want to cross
accounting
to
of a
join.
logistics firm. And then I got the experience and when that opportunity and when it came, I was able to sell myself. I had tried graduate hire for several times. I wasn't able to get that. So it
Hello,
was the
friends.
experience
Today we are going to read
growth
Pete the
that gave me
Cat
the
Saves
opportunity I have
Christmas,
now.
created and
And just
illustrated by
with that
James Dean,
experience, it
story
has
by
propelled
Eric
me to
Litwin.
where I am, which basically the experience has taken me out of Nigeria. So it now depends if you're able to get that opportunity. The next steps is now on you because the experience on your CV is quite huge. The impact of that experience is quite huge, and you can really be anything you want to be. So, like the person who asked, will I be a partner in 1 year? Well, you won't be a partner in 1 year, but then you can be something else, whatever you want to be, because the experience is quite invaluable. So, my advice to everyone is just to do the work yourself, do the homework. No one will push you. Even if you push yourself and decide to put the work to do this yourself, if you want it to work, you do it yourself and then make it work. So I guess that's all
Thank
I'll
you
say.
so much,
Thank you,
Max.
guys.
We can unmute ourselves and appreciate our speakers. Like, thank you so much. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait for us to do this again. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate you.
Thank you very much,
So
sir.
please,
Thank you very much,
as you
Mark.
are going into it,
Thank you,
yeah, we won't
sir.
ask
Thank
you
you for
questions
having
you've
us.
already answered, no. But just I've dropped his LinkedIn profile so you can connect with him, DM in, ask him questions. I'm sure whenever he's available because they are very busy, obviously. So they will always answer your question. And from that, you can forge relationships with them, mentoring, coach, sponsors, and the like. So thank you all for. I'm really looking forward to our next webinar. Thank you for joining us. I didn't expect to have this much turnout. We are really, really grateful. To all our HH community members, we love you. Thank you for always supporting the vision. Then, if you want to join any of our community, that our WhatsApp community, you can always send me a mail or a DM. You can also send a message. You can always reach out on LinkedIn, and let's also try, like Mr. Ita said, let's maximize LinkedIn. There's a lot of most of you here saw it on LinkedIn. We connected basically on LinkedIn. Most of Mr. Ita's people too saw it on LinkedIn and decided to come and join. So LinkedIn is a resource bank basically. You can get anything you want out of LinkedIn as it relates to your career or business. So really appreciate you for joining us in this seminar. We thank God for the success. We thank God for value that Mr. MJ gave us. We really, really appreciate everybody on the call. For the recording will be made available on our YouTube page. We'll be sharing it on all our social media platforms. So thank you all. We love you. We appreciate you, and we are so passionate about your growth, about skilling up finance professionals to be able to compete on a global scene. So till the next time when we meet again, probably next month, we would always keep you updated. Ciao and stay safe. Bye.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye,
Nice,
sir. Thank you
nice
so
of you.
much, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right, bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye. Wow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Bye.
I think this is a good place to end it.